Hey, well, welcome. My name is Jesse Egerton. I've been doing digital marketing for 5+ years now, all across the board. I've helped a lot of small businesses, big businesses. I've worked with agencies, small businesses directly. And today we wanted to interview John from Intellidev IT Solutions. John, welcome.
Hi, Jesse. Thank you. I'm John Drennan, and I have run an independent IT consulting firm since right about 2013. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I try to bring forth the human side of technology. I have relationships with my clients where I really try to provide the best service possible. And I try to, my tagline is, it's my goal to get technology out of your way. And that really is my goal. Technology can be kind of a daunting thing. And sometimes you bring in your technology and it hampers you and it hampers your creativity and other, workflow things. And so I really try to develop systems and implement systems that don't do that are easier to use and help you help your bottom line and get the creative aspect of it to the max without technology messing that up, because it can.
Awesome.
I have a specialty. I do all kind of multi-platforms, but I do have kind of a specialty niche in the Apple, Mac, iOS realm. And I've been doing that a long time. I worked for Apple for a number of years directly in the Apple Care department, and then left them. And I've been doing independent IT work ever since, and I love it.
Nice,
So,
coming from the inside,
yes, exactly.
straight
So,
from Apple. Great.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I want to get to know you a little bit more because I think that sounds good to people that have maybe experience in businesses where they've already had to have IT solutions, but
Yeah.
maybe for a lot of small business owners or even people that are independent that just have MacBooks or have a desktop, but don't really have that specific solutions.
Yeah.
They probably don't have no idea what that these things mean or what it means to really get that good support.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to ask you some questions just to kind of get more of an understanding of what you do and how you provide that service.
Yeah.
First off, what really got you started on this journey? What made you want to start when you left Apple?
So I was working with Apple, and I loved my job. It was, the people that I got to work with on the phone. I had a lot of great interactions with people and conversations. But I'm not sure how it started exactly, but I started answering Craigslist ads on the side. And I really liked being my own boss, have more creative control over the solutions that I'm implementing and whatnot, and it was a little more lucrative than working directly from Apple, and so I just slowly transitioned into that, and it's just something that I really became passionate about. I could come in, I could develop a solution for a customer, and I wasn't too constrained by another overarching entity that had good well-meaning, but again, I wasn't able to really do what I'm able to do in that kind of environment. So I transitioned and took the step forward in faith and and walked out in that. And there's been a lot of blessings along the way, and here we are. I've been
That's
doing
great.
it since 2013. So
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. I used to work on a contract for Google to provide Google support, and it was the same thing. And it's like it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what you want to do. What matters most is that overarching that hierarchy of what's their goal,
exactly.
what exactly what's their agenda, and you start from there versus starting from the customer's perspective of what do they need and how can you provide that service. So it's always limiting whenever you're working for another company.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad. Like you said, you liked your job. I liked the environment that I was in. It was nice having a ping pong table every time I go to work, and snacks and stuff. But it didn't really make a difference when it came to the actual client or the customer.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm curious, what were some of those Craigslist ads? What are you looking for when you saw a Craigslist ad?
So there was really one, a lot of it at the time, because I do have somewhat of a specialty. I really have a large knowledge base of your Apple Mac systems. And like a good fit for me is a client that loves those devices, but needs somebody to help them integrate them better into a business environment. I'm not so, like I said, I'm not solely locked into that, but that's really where I can really come in and provide a wealth of knowledge and services for a client. So when I was looking at Craigslist ads, they were kind of rooted in that. There was a few other things that I had a pretty good knowledge base to pull from, but that's probably the main thing that I was looking for. And there was one client that I found that it really opened the door. He had a small business where he was like, doctors would outsource their office management to him, and he loved Apple, Mac, iOS, that whole realm, that whole infrastructure, that whole ecosystem, however you want to put it. And he needed help, provide using getting better utilization of that in his business. And I helped him kind of do that initially. And he grew quite a bit during our the time that we worked together. And I feel pretty strongly that the technology that I brought forth and the services that helped him do that. I mean, obviously, I'm not solely responsible for that, but that's my goal. My goal is to get the technology out of the way, provide useful, productive solutions, so you can grow and you can focus on your business, the part that you're good at, that you're passionate, part of the equation, and I can handle my piece and just take that off your plate so you don't have to worry about it anymore, because it really can be daunting for a lot of people.
Yeah. How many hours a week do you think you saved him to be able to focus on his business and actually grow?
Quite a few, because he was wearing multiple hats at the time. So,
Yeah.
I minimum at least 5-6 hours a week, just like, because when the system goes down, if you have to deal with it, that's time away from you making money for your company. So when you have somebody like me, an expert, come in, I can pull that off your plate, provide a reasonably priced service, and still bring lots of value to the table, and let you do what you do. So
that's great. Yeah. I mean, just that, looking at that alone, 5 to 6 hours a week. If any other business owner told me that they can give me an extra 5 to 6 hours a week, so I can go scale my business without having to take away from it, and it was cost effective.
Exactly.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yep, and that's done through a multiple of ways. I mean, again, it is providing more efficient solutions to the table, so you're not having to have too many things that happen that draw that time away from you. And another is when there is an issue that takes place, I have a large knowledge base to pull from. I can come in there, resolve it much quicker than you might be able to. And again, with combining those two together, it definitely is going to save you lots of time and money.
Yeah,
so.
I'm definitely, I've been victim of the hard-headedness.
Yeah.
I can figure this out. I can figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And sure, I might be able to figure it out.
Yep.
Might. It might also take me about 3 or 4 hours of first learning what it is, learning about the problem and how to fix it before I can actually do anything, versus, someone like you coming in and just being able to pull from that knowledge base and fix it on the spot, and not have to spend all that man hours, just relearning something.
The old adage, time is money. It really is. I mean, if you're spending time doing things that are pulling you away from your main business goal and function, then it is that money is out the window. So that's where I try to help.
Yeah. In Spanish, they say tiempo es oro.
Yeah.
Time is gold.
There you go. It is. And it is.
Yeah.
I find that there's not enough time in the day usually. So that helps.
Absolutely. Especially as a small business owner. You're trying to build a business that, like you said, probably wearing many hats.
Yeah.
You're not just doing one aspect. You're not just serving clients. As a business owner, you take on the responsibilities of all the other aspects and departments that come involved with growing a business. And depending on where you're at, you might not have outsourced all those things yet. You might have some trouble letting go of some things. So it's good to have someone you can trust to come in and just take care of those things, especially in the IT department. That's a whole nother realm that people don't think about until it's too late, until you have an issue. Right?
Exactly.
When is it when people most likely are to call you or require your service? What are they going through?
So that can be a number of things. A lot of it is going to be email hosting. That's, I do Microsoft 365 administration. I do Google Workspace administration. That's a big one. Some of it's just basic app troubleshooting, desktop support kind of things where I come in and help solve a particular program is crashing. So there's that sort of thing. There is advice. People want to do something, and I'm able to point them in the right direction. So it's a number of different things. But I definitely I kind of go by the adage that I do all things technology. I have a knowledge base that I'm pulling from that allows me, when I approach these issues, even if I haven't had direct hands-on with something, I know people, I have experience in other areas that apply, and so I can more quickly come to the solution. And it can be in a lot of different things. Like I said, email hosting. It can be in all the Microsoft suite problems that are associated with that. It can be in sourcing new machines. It can be fixing existing machines, hardware and software. A large number of things, and a lot of the stuff that I deal with is businesses in the technology, or not, excuse me, not the technology space, but in the design space, advertising firms, desktop publishing, all sorts of thing in that area where you're using the Adobe suite and things like that. You find a lot of high Mac usage in those developments, so a lot of my clients can have fit in there. But I've also had clients in the medical field. I've had you name it in all different fields. So
nice. Yeah. For me, being in marketing, it was like right when I went to start learning about Google Ads and all the different ways it connects with analytics and things. Yeah. Everybody in that space was like, "Oh, you got to get a Mac. You need a Mac. Got to have a Mac for this. Need a MacBook Pro. Need the latest MacBook Pro.
Exactly.
If you want to have Google Ads editor on there as like putting software to edit and to edit these things offline and upload them later." Yep. They're like, "Yeah, you need a better MacBook." So it was never just you need a MacBook. It was always you need a better MacBook. It's kind of been the theme in the marketing space. Even the agencies I've been at, they're like, we do MacBooks only. And I'm like, thank goodness I learned how to use a Mac.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of the content creation, it's really suited for the Apple, Mac, iOS ecosystem. So for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What have been some of the challenges you've had with providing that service? What are some obstacles that you run into?
Sometimes it has been, sometimes clients, when they wear multiple hats, they have a little bit of difficult time handing over some of the ownership of certain aspects of it. So sometimes that can cause a problem. And one thing that I really try to do when I come in is build a rapport with my clients. And you mentioned trust a little while ago. Trust is a huge piece. The technology partner that you choose, you have to trust them. They are privy to, and your whole business is running on this technology. You have sensitive information, and you have to be able to pull somebody in that you can trust. And that is like centerpiece in how I come to the table. I want you to know, you have confidence in me that I can solve your problems, and that you can entrust me with aspects of your business sensitive information, revenue streams that are coming in, and you can trust me that I'm not going to abuse that relationship. I mean, I'm a Christian. I have a faith. I believe in God, and that is center point in my business. And it's just huge for me to be, for my clients to be able to trust me. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, definitely. If you've ever had to ask a client for a list of all their customers' emails and contact information, it can get pretty rocky.
Exactly.
For marketing, that's if I have to ask somebody for to do retargeting, for example, remarketing, and I'm like, we need a list of customers so we can upload it in this platform or this platform. We need to hash it and change it. So they have to trust me to not take that information, hold it hostage, or try to run away with it. I don't know, just to trust that I'm going to be respectful of that information, keep it private. But at the same time, be able to use it effectively, when it comes to marketing. You said that your faith is a center point for your business. Elaborate on that more. What has that been like, building a business in the IT world with a faith?
It has been a little challenging at times. Sometimes you find people in that realm, they're not as receptive to that as you. And again, I've been able to build valuable relationships with a great many different types of people. So it hasn't been a thing that's been a problem, but I do find that sometimes in that realm, there are people that aren't quite on the same level as me as far as, just the basis from where they're coming from, where their values come from. But I've always been really good at hearing somebody out where they're coming from and finding common ground. And I don't necessarily back down or compromise my beliefs. And that's another, people value, if somebody has a strong moral compass, that's a valuable relationship to have in the business world. And so I bring that to the table. But again, I'm not gonna, overtly, push my views and things in the table. I'm able to come together and find, like I said, find common ground and respect where everybody's coming from. But here's the main piece. I think the biggest thing that where I come from is value to my clients. I take every relationship as that I am working for God. I do everything to a standard as far as the integrity that I bring forth. And because of that, everybody that I work with that becomes a benefit to them, because I don't value things. Well, you're over here and you're over here and you get a higher ranking on the thing than this person. No, everybody gets the highest standard services and interaction from me, because I am doing this unto the Lord. I mean, again, that may be a new concept for some people, but it is how I approach this. And again, where you fall on the faith topic, it doesn't really matter. When you are my client, you benefit from that because of how I approach that.
That's an interesting perspective, because I think a lot of times, people that have been successful in the business world, they say, treat it like your own.
Yeah.
Or if you're spending someone else's money, for example, with advertisements, treat it like you're spending your own money.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to take that above,
exactly right.
one step above of treating it like your own, is treat it like it's God's.
Yep.
If you're a Christian, I'm a Christian.
Yep.
And I think that's something that's really been big for me this season, is learning how to give it up to God.
Yep.
And give up your business and lay your business down at God's feet. And that's hard to do from a mindset perspective, because we're so used to, thinking we did all this on our own, and we didn't. It was all through God and glorifying us and gracing us, blessing us. And if we can't see those things, it's really hard to give it up to Him. But when you start doing that and giving it up to God, it's a whole different level of service for customers, because then you're doing it to glorify God. You're doing it to lay up riches in heaven. And that's a whole different level of just, I'm doing this for me, as if it's me or my money.
Yeah.
Right? That's a whole different level, because now it gives you a whole different aspect of accountability.
Yep, exactly. And like I said, anybody who's watching this may fall somewhere, all around where I fall, but that, again, it's irrelevant. I feel, because you can trust that if you enter in a business relationship with me, I will give you the best service possible because of what I just laid out and what Jesse just laid out. So for sure.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit about that impact that you had, helping out just with that first client, saving them, 5-6 hours a week.
Yeah.
What's some more impacts or success stories that you've had after helping somebody out?
Well, so I really try to understand the business that my client is doing. I mean, when I come in, I ask a lot of questions. I ask about workflows, and I try to custom tailor solutions in all different aspects of the business where technology is integrated, that makes things simpler and saves you time. So it's I think when I come in, I really try to understand my client, who they are, what their goal is, where they came from, where they want to be, and try to bring forth what I bring to the table to help accomplish those things, and so you can run your business more efficiently. I think that's one of the biggest impacts I can bring forth.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I think that's pretty big when you're getting IT solutions. If you're outsourcing it, for example, to overseas, and you're just getting somebody that barely speaks English, that has a certificate or a degree or something that says that they can, or they're qualified to do this service.
Yep.
And they don't really know you too well.
Exactly.
They don't know,
Exactly.
your business. They don't know your needs. They just know you have a request, a task, and they can fulfill this request or this task,
Exactly.
but maybe not to best fit your business.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest, a huge difference that I can see right away between hiring you versus outsourcing those things. What are some of the tools that you use or different softwares that you use to be able to do your job?
Like I said before, one of the things that gets brought forth at the table a lot is like your Office 365 administration, all things Microsoft that are integrated in that. A lot of my clients, that whole suite is a huge piece to their business, and so I have spent lots and lots of time in there administering the Microsoft suite, Exchange hosted email, all of that in underneath that Microsoft umbrella. And then I've also done the same for the Google Workspace or the Google Workspace suite as well. So I'm intimately familiar with both of those solutions, and I've helped customers migrate from one to the other, and vice versa.
Oh, nice.
I've helped customers migrate from a third-party outside email hosting into either one of those solutions. So it's a big piece of my business that I assist my clients with. So
that's good. I mean, even just from my experience with email, I know with email marketing, Google has new updates coming out 2024.
Yeah.
And it's more compliance. So it's
exactly.
important to be ahead of those things and make sure that you have like for example, for Google Workspace, you have to make sure that you have the DKIM.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some sort of authentication, verification. And that's, I think a lot of people don't know about these things. They don't know that these are requirements. And if you try to jump into email marketing, you're going to get hit.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
really fast.
The whole spam, phishing, email, malicious stuff that's taking place. It is getting nothing but more and more prevalent. I'm sure anyone who is listening to this knows that. They see them, they receive them constantly, and that is a huge piece of my services that I provide to my clients is helping them protect. At bare minimum, bringing in two-factor authentication, making sure that those DNS records, like the DKIM that you mentioned, are implemented and in place. And it's a bunch of different layers to combat that. But it is common for people to present me, hey, I just got this email, or I clicked on this, and what do I do now? That's big.
I clicked the button Workspace, and now I have an email. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned some methods already, so you might have already covered it. But if a client were to approach you and say, hey, you know what, I'm just concerned about security, or I'm just concerned about troubleshooting, these issues with these, what are some of your steps to walk them through to give them peace of mind?
So one thing, it's a multi-pronged approach to do that. First off, I take a look at the whole network infrastructure that you have in your office, your home office, wherever that may be. What kind of firewall is in place? What kind of filtering is implemented on there that will prevent outside attacks from coming in and attacking your network. I look at what sort of email platform you're on, what sort of DNS implementations are in there, like again, going back to the DKIM record and a host of other things, anti-spoof record, things like that. You want to make sure that all those things are in place, because email is a huge attack vector for IT breaches right now. And so that's a huge piece. So firewall, email platform. And then the third prong that's really, 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 there's a couple, but another huge one is the educating of your staff. Oh. A lot of the hacking that happens now is psychological hacking. They trick you into giving up your credentials. It's not, there are some brute force attacks that where they somehow hack your password. But a lot of it, that's I wouldn't say a thing of the past, but it has become less and less.
Known.
What they do is they just trick people into giving, they have a bogus login information or login window that pops up after you click some bogus link, and then the client puts in their login credentials, and then the hackers are in.
Boom.
And
now
so
they have your password.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably shared your password, or probably have the same password for all these
that's
different,
another thing.
Different platforms and different channels, so then they can just log in all these other places.
Yep, exactly.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and a good password policy, making sure that you're using a high quality password manager. You're not using the same password for multiple sites, and repeating that login information. That does make it easier for you to get in, but it also makes it much easier for the hackers to get in. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a big piece.
I remember seeing emails coming from like the CEO, and it was saying, hey, by the way, I just got locked out. Can you just, send whatever this, requesting some bit of private information. And it's like one thing at a time. It's never like, oh, just send me your first name, last name, password, and all in my email.
Yeah.
No, it's like, hey, just send me the, what was my reset, remember reset thing.
Yeah.
What was my, my childhood town real quick.
Yeah.
Just simple things. And then you're like, oh, this didn't come from our CEO.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a bogus email.
Yeah, they and that's, again, like I said, it's a psychology thing, really. They have gotten really good at, making you feel comfortable to give information that you should not be giving, and they use all sorts of psychological techniques to do that. And like I said, one huge piece is training your staff, and getting them to know what to look out for, what's going to be dangerous. And I always say it's better to be safe than sorry, and to question something before you click on it, before you respond. Reach out another way, make a phone call, send some other, communicate in some other way to verify that the communication coming in is legitimate. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't. So if your staff are defaulting to, wait a minute, let me slow down, it saves a lot of time and money, and a lot of just sleepless nights if you do get some sort of breach or attack that is successful. So
one thing I liked when I met you and I was working at an agency was the IT support email, where it's like, if you have any questions, just forward it here.
Exactly.
Someone like John will get it. They'll see it and say, this is definitely bogus, or no, this is okay. This is fine. And right away you'll get an answer of, do I click on this or not? Is this real or not?
Exactly.
So that way you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. It's like, if this just looks fishy, just send it over.
Exactly.
And you'll get a professional to give you an answer right away.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is another aspect of the services that I provide. I respond quickly to my client inquiries and emails that they send over. I mean, I know that they're moving fast, I'm moving fast, and they need an answer quickly, especially in a situation like that, because, again, time is a precious resource, and you need to be able to know, is this legitimate or not? And I try to help my clients figure that out, and they can always come, I'm very approachable, and they can ask me those kinds of questions.
And that's a big difference from the IT field right now, right?
Yeah.
Having that expedient communication.
Yeah.
I've heard just from other people in the industry that, people won't even return calls.
Yeah.
You'll find an IT person online, and you'll be reaching out to them, and they won't even get back to you for weeks sometimes.
Yep.
And that's a big detriment when you need an answer right away. When you have a business to operate and you can't wait a week or two to use this one system, or to operate this, or to send an email. Yep. That's a big factor, is that expedited communication.
It really is. It really is. So
nice. What are some of the ways that you stay up to date with, the latest software or the latest IT solutions? What's happening today?
Well, so first off, I mentioned firewalls before. So pretty much across the board with all my clients, once we come into a working agreement, we sign a contract. One of the things is we take a look at your firewall. I pretty much solely work with Sophos firewalls. And so I have an account with them, and I go through frequent training with all the new stuff that's coming out. So I'm very familiar with their products, and they do a good job of educating the IT professionals that work with them about all the new stuff that's coming out. So I do a lot of that. I'm a member of a lot of forum groups and things like that, where a lot of new information comes through there. So I stay pretty much on top of a lot of that stuff. I'm constantly looking at one thing that happens a lot is people are asking me about the latest Apple hardware. So I stay up to date on all that stuff because it's constantly changing. So I can answer those questions for clients and help them make decisions about new machines, whether or not they need one or not. So there's a bunch of different aspects, but all of the key pieces that I bring a wealth of knowledge through, I stay up to date on in all those areas. It's just part of the job. So
That's good. Yeah, and for me, like you said, forums, I really enjoy the fact that I can have a bunch of people in the same industry, like on LinkedIn or something.
Exactly.
A channel that's specifically for sharing information, and people have used that nowadays to really just add value to clients, add value to other business owners. And I see so many times, like Google will put an update directly on LinkedIn, linking to their forum or linking to their blog that just came out about updates that are coming out. Like for example, for the policy updates for email. Yeah. I just saw that, on LinkedIn, and I click on it, go straight to Google's website and get to read about it straight from them. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And I think a lot of people don't have time for that. If you're not in the industry, you don't care.
Yeah,
last thing you want to do.
Exactly. And again, I bring that wealth of knowledge to the table. So you as a small business owner, or even a larger business owner, that they don't, again, wearing many hats, and you just don't have the time to have to worry about that stuff. That's my area to bring forth. So you don't have to.
That's good. Have you had any difficult clients throughout the years?
I think everybody, and it doesn't matter what aspect of the business world they work in, there's different personalities that you come in contact with, and I've definitely run into some more difficult people than others. I'm sure we all can say that, but again, I really try to approach the table with listening to what the person is bringing forth. It may be acting out of some sort of emotional response and things like that, but people want to be heard. So that's one thing, like when you're telling me about what's going on, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to try it again. Like I said before, find some common ground. And that's just how I'm going to approach any situation like that.
So you don't tell him, "Shut up, I know what I'm doing."
Negative. No. No.
That's good. That's good.
No, I would never say anything like that to a client. I've
had those difficult clients.
Yeah, no,
I understand.
And again, I come to the table with respect. And again, I am doing this unto the Lord. And when I'm doing that, that's the accountability level that you have there. So I'm going to do my best to come to a amicable, crossroad, a solution together that doesn't I don't come off condescending or insulting. Some people do. I have colleagues in the tech field that they're great at what they do, but the people skills is not on the best level.
Yeah.
And that's a huge piece. Like, I'm sorry, but you can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to work with people in a business environment and be respectful, then so what? Like, you know what I mean?
My biggest mistake when it comes to difficult clients is when they make accusations or they say something just completely ridiculous, accusational. I have a bad tendency sometimes to laugh because it's just so profound and silly. Yeah. And that's probably my difficult area to overcome is
keep the chuckles to yourself.
Yeah. Someone says something, like just completely outlandish, like, well, you did this. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that is just ridiculous. We both know I didn't do that.
I think one of the best things in that case is just to not respond to those types of things. So I think sometimes people are trying to get a rise out of you, and you hear what they say, and you're not agreeing or disagreeing with it. You're just hearing it and refraining from responding to it right away, and kind of let things simmer, for a minute. I think that works in your business. I think that works in your family life. I think it works with your friends, that we don't always have to be so quick to respond to what the other person is saying. Doesn't mean we're not listening, but just holding just being holding back just a little, so you don't have something that you regret later that you said. So
And Jesus said, if someone strikes you, turn the other cheek.
And
That's hard. I think a lot of people think that inaction is admittance to whatever it is they're accusing you of. And you not defending yourself doesn't always mean that you're agreeing with or admitting to whatever it is they've said. And a lot of times, even if they think that, if the person on the other side thinks that you're admitting or you're agreeing to it, sometimes it's just okay, because it lowers the barrier where they bring down the walls because they think they're right. And then it opens up the dialogue where you can now have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keeping the dialogue open is key. Key. Again, you may run into people that are more difficult than others, and but again, what you said is huge, and that's definitely a big piece of how I approach my relationships with my clients.
Yeah, and that's different from a lot of people. A lot of people in businesses, they've grown some thick skin. And unfortunately, they've also grown, a thick heart. Because they've been convinced that the only way to succeed is to step over other people, to have a no nonsense kind of attitude, or whatever it is, wherever they've come from. We respect them, we love them. But it definitely isn't easy to deal with those kind of people sometimes. So that's a really good practice to have.
Exactly.
Remember that, keeping your faith first.
Exactly. I mean, again, you can fall all sorts of different positions on the whole faith thing and what you believe, but again, if somebody is coming forth that has that moral compass, it's going to benefit your relationship, the relationship that you have with them. It just is, because we're not, it may sound kind of silly, but I'm not working for my client. I'm working to be approved by my Heavenly Father. And, I hold that in high regard. And so everybody around me is going to benefit from that, because, I approach all things that way.
That's good. When you're working with somebody, and you're signing a contract, you're helping them out, you've already gone through the troubleshooting, you're providing services on a regular basis. What are some things that you have to come into and grow through? What are some growing pains that they're trying to scale their business up? What does that mean for you?
There's definitely a huge thing that is a factor in is the solution that I'm offering, how much growth are you going to get out of it? Is this just a stopgap option that's going to get you a little bit further, or is this something that is scalable further on down the line as your business grows? And that's the goal, is to get my clients to grow. So definitely that's a huge aspect of the solutions that I'm going to be offering for anyone. Is it good for now, and is it good for 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years down the line? And so sometimes you're going to get more longevity out of a solution, but it is definitely a factor in the solutions and services that I offer.
That's good. It probably helps too that you've had a lot of experience across the board. So when someone's at that tipping point, where they want to grow more, they need to add another 20 seats. They need to, add more software, more systems that, they can come to you and just, like you said, ask. I think you said earlier, they just want advice. And they can get that advice straight from the horse's mouth. Is this going to work, or do we need to change something? And you can say, we need to change. This is what you need to continue to grow or to offer that.
And the relationships that I have that do that first, that include me, again, these people, they're business owners. They got themselves to where they are right now, the decisions that they've made, and it's their baby. And I'm not trying to encroach on that, but I can help you avoid problems if you just include me in that decision-making process, where I can give you information and then give you different options, and then you make the decision on what looks best for you. But if I don't get included in that initial decision-making process or fact-finding mission, big trouble can happen.
Yeah.
And then I have to come in. It costs more time, more money to fix what kind of went south, and then redirect the ship, as it were. So yeah, communication and working together. We are a team. I'm a technology partner with my clients, and I try to foster that, communicate that from the very beginning, that hey, I'm here to help. Bring forth anything you have to help you make the best decision. So
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to that teamwork, that communication,
yeah.
what does that look like for you? I mean, are you meeting with them, weekly, bi-weekly? Is it all done through, through other channels of communication? What does that teamwork look like?
It depends on the situation and the project that we're working on, but I definitely try to stay in fairly common, frequent communication with my clients. Even if we're not working on a project together, I will send communications your way. Maybe it's even a text message like, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing today? When I come on site, if I'm there for a specific problem that's happening, you called me on site. I'm going to go around and I'm going to, hey, how's it going? And have a conversation with you, and ask you where your trouble points are right now. Even if it's outside of the reason why I'm there, I'll even make rounds and talk to staff and just ask them, because the thing is, I can learn a lot from the staff that's there, that's actually in the trenches doing the work day in and day out. The manager or the owner or whoever, the management structure may not know all of the pain points. It may not have gotten communicated to them along the way. And if you talk to their people, you'll find them, and then I can bring that forth, like, hey, you have this department over here that's having these issues, and I didn't know if you're aware of that, but I have a solution that can help. And I really try to communicate and ask questions along the way.
That's big. I know a lot of business owners, when they're so busy and they're in the trenches themselves, just growing the business, managing the business, I think a lot of times they forget to make those reach outs, to say, hey, by the way, did you have anything for us? Do we have anything for you? And they forget because they're just so busy. So I think it's important to have somebody that's proactive, to make those reach outs and just say, hey, by the way, I'm just checking in, everything okay? Or even to go around and talk to the staff. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I've seen business owners try to put solutions in place, like sending out, a form to all of the employees and say, hey, fill out this form.
Yeah.
What trouble are you having? What issues are coming up? What's the problems? And that isn't nearly as effective as just going around and asking.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you're going to get the most raw, honest answer. When you go up to somebody sitting down, they're frustrated and they say, this is just not working.
Yep.
Then you can say, okay, what's not working? Versus afterwards, when they finally gotten through all the frustrations, now they're trying to go home, but they got to fill out this form real quick. Yeah. It's fine. 5, 5, 5, 5. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Exactly. So I just try to, when there are pain points, I try to talk my clients through that. And, you can be upset, you can be frustrated with the situation, but I try to ask enough questions and to really help my clients navigate through that, so they can get to the root of the issue. Let's solve that so we don't have to do this anymore. So
that's good.
Yeah.
You mentioned, like, if they have to call you on site, what does that look like with that relationship? When are you coming on site? What makes you have to come on site, and what can you do remote?
So initially, definitely when I'm bringing on a client, there's a lot more on-site than there would be remote, because in that time, I'm assessing what infrastructure is there, what type of, I will implement some sort of remote connection software on all the workstations. And in doing a lot of that, being there on site is necessary. Network related issues, installing new equipment, a lot of that kind of stuff, setting up new machines. That, like, when you get a new machine, it doesn't necessarily mean the whole process needs to be done on site, but there are a few, at least initially, necessary, installing some software on the machine first so that it can be resumed on, remotely. So it really depends on what the issue is, and the real answer is that I'm willing to do either one. I try to provide the most efficient service possible. So if that's in a remote capacity, if I can get there more quickly, I do the remote angle. Um, but I have no problem visiting on site if needed. I do a lot of that, so it's about 50-50. Just depends on where we are in the relationship with the client, what we have implemented, and yeah, it depends on a lot of different factors.
I know a lot of business owners that are maybe older
Mhm.
or are more used to the previous ways things are done. IT
Yeah,
Solutions were more of a managed IT person who was on site,
yeah,
full time employee, sitting in the
yeah,
server room,
yeah,
locked in and caged in so no one could reach them.
yeah,
Hopefully, you sent
yeah,
help every couple of weeks.
yeah, yeah,
But that was what they saw and what they were
yeah,
used to.
yeah.
So how does that differ from you being able to not being there all the time, 24/7?
Well, so like I said before, I really try to make myself available. I mean, there will be times when I'm in the middle of something and I may not be able to respond right there in that minute, but I make a point to, at the very least, say, "Hey, I hear what you're saying here. I can see that it's a sizable issue, and if I'm busy right in that moment, I will make sure that I at least communicate and give you an estimate on when I will contact you, and I try to do that as quickly as possible. So, and then every situation that comes in, I triage. How severe is this situation? Is this multiple users down? Is this a single user? Is there a workaround in place? If there is a workaround, I suggest a workaround that can get my client moving, keep moving forward
Yeah.
until I can free up resources to assist. So I really try to approach every situation like that. And then I provide recommendations, workaround, time estimates, and things like that. But I try to make sure that I'm responding quickly and giving my a customer a good idea as to what we're looking at, and when they can expect me to really roll up my sleeves and dive right in. And a lot of times that's fairly quickly because I can do it remotely. So
That's good. I mean,
yeah,
that's what a lot of people probably don't understand is that with remote solutions, you probably save a lot of money versus having somebody on
yes,
site as a full time employee
yes,
because they don't need to be there. A lot of
yeah,
times they're probably twiddling their
that's
thumbs
exactly right.
or learning, spending time on learning
Yeah,
and developing their skill sets. And
yeah,
that's not really as much needed on site. You can do that on your own time, or if you're doing that on site, sure. But
yeah.
I mean, it's not really needed as much for you to be on site.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it really does save everybody money. It saves me money, resources of traveling to the location if I don't need to be. It saves the client money because it's less billable hours, and a host of things that when I provide a solution that is a combination of both of those, I can save my client money.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
With those, those different solutions coming on site, being remote, um, what are some of the challenges with being remote that you come into?
Yeah, there definitely are some challenges that require me to come on site, and I will get as far as I can in that capacity. And sometimes I have to, okay, I need to come in. But one good key thing is to identify that early on. It's not good to sit there and bang your head against the wall if you're running into situations that would be much easier dealt with on site. We're going to say, okay, this is where we're at. I communicate that to my client, and I would transition and make an appointment to be there as soon as possible. But there's definitely times where sometimes there has to be somebody with an appropriate level of knowledge being right in front of the keyboard. It just really depends. There's a lot of different variables, but I've done this long enough to know what's what, and then I can set that expectation early, instead of getting deep into it and like, well, I have to come out here now. No, I try to make sure that we know what the situation is going to be before we get too far into the situation.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good, especially with that communication. Having that
Yeah.
proactive, like, hey, we're gonna figure out as much as we can before.
Yep.
That is pretty cool because you might be able to find the solution. Number one, But number two, if it does take you coming out there, at least they know that
Yep.
you did everything you possibly could to prevent them from having like a a unit go down, for example, for you to come out and troubleshoot it or fix it.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know that expedite communication is big because I mean when I look at from the marketing perspective, if a customer reaches out to a company, usually you have a window of like a couple minutes to at most an hour to retain that customer.
Yeah. Yep.
And
That's right.
if you take any longer than that customer's already found someone else.
Yep.
They've already moved on. They've probably already bought
Exactly.
something or, made the decision to buy something or enlist someone else's services. So I look at that from the client relationship. I take that same perspective of if someone has a question for me, I need to get back to them as soon as possible. My motto is, 1 to 2 hours, you should hear a response from me. If not, I'm either sick, a kid is sick, or someone's going to the hospital.
Exactly.
Or there's no other reason. It's just other than that, you're gonna hear back from me either an email saying I got your message, I need some more time, or here's the answer.
Yeah.
And it's like if I'm gonna lose a customer in that little window of time, how many times does it take for me to lose a client? If I take too long to get back to them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no, I treat it the same way. I definitely just put a high value on communicating with my clients and communicating quickly and accurately. So yeah, for sure.
That's good. Well, when it comes to serving your clients and communicating with business owners, talked a lot about communication so far. What is the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they're looking for your services?
So right now I have a Facebook presence, Intellidev IT Solutions on Facebook. That's one way of doing it. I have a LinkedIn profile that I can be reached from. I have contact information that is associated on all those platforms. The website is under construction right now, but there's a number of ways. But most of your social media platforms, I'm there. Facebook.
Got it. Intellidev IT Solutions on Facebook.
Yep.
And then LinkedIn.
Yep.
What would help you if a client were reaching out to you to enlist your services or even inquire as to what it would cost for your services? What helps you if they come prepared, saying that we have this many units, or what's some information that you would help?
As many details as possible. But again, just important details. How many people are involved? Like what the solution that you need? How many people does it affect? If it's an issue, how long it's been happening? Some of the key elements of the issue. Not the whole. All the gory details, but the key things that are the main aspects of the issue at hand. If you can communicate that to me, sometimes I can even have something halfway formulated before we even talk. But again, I know that when something took place for the first time, how frequent is it an intermittent issue? Is it happening all the time? Just as many details as possible without it being too much to wade through. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So not all the, I ate a cookie and I got crumbs on it. That might've affected it. And, then I left it outside and it was cold. Might have condensation in there now. It's like, okay, what's the issue? How long has it been happening? Is it frequent? Is it one time?
Yep.
How many people does it affect? What are the software that you're using around the issue, or what's involved that's causing the issue?
Yeah.
I know a lot of times for me, it's like when people have things that they need help with when it comes to marketing, a lot of times my first question is, what have you done?
Yeah. That's key. That is key. What have you done to try to resolve it on your own? That helps.
Yeah. Cause I find a lot of times people have tried to do their own marketing and they've, usually made a mess of it first, and then they're looking for help.
Yep.
And that's important to know. So instead of me starting from scratch, I know I have to first start with where you left off.
Yep.
And maybe undo some things first.
Yeah.
Maybe for me, it's like undoing some mindsets around, marketing.
Yeah. Expectations.
If someone's already done stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. To properly set those expectations of, well, this is what you should expect if you do this the correct way.
Yeah.
If you don't do it the correct way, you should not expect any results. And that's why it didn't work.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that directly relates to what I do. We have some common ground there because if it is communicated early on, the steps that the client has already tried, then I mean, I may repeat some of that, but that's going to save us some time because I can, oh, okay, we tried this already. We got this result. So I can go in a different direction and more quickly do that. So it helps a lot to know what's already been tried for sure.
What is that person who is they're just about to reach out to you?
Mm-hmm.
They know they need some help. What are they searching? What are they scratching their head about? What are some of the issues that they're immediately trying to get answers to right before they make that decision of they need someone specific for this?
Um,
Like for example, it's someone trying to look up a bunch of YouTube videos
yeah.
on how to implement the DKIM or Google
Yes.
policies. Well, what are some of those things?
Well, there's that, what you just named. There is, a lot of times you can, Google searches get made. If I'm understanding the question, people are going to try to research that issue on their own, and they've come to a point where they're kind of not getting anywhere, or the steps that they find in doing some of their own research go over their head. It's just not their level of expertise. That's usually at the point where they reach out to somebody like myself.
Got it. So if you're doing research and you don't understand any of the terminology,
yeah,
and
exactly.
you're having to keep going back and doing another window of what does this mean? What does that mean? It's probably time to reach out to John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, again, we're all on a fact-finding mission. We're all trying to save money. But again, if you've spent a bunch of time on something and you're not getting anywhere, or like I said, the solutions that you're finding in your research are over your head, definitely that's probably the frequently that's the point where people reach out to me. So
what do you think the tipping point is of the time aspect? Is it 1 hour? Is it 5 hours? How much time is someone really putting in to find the solution before they get there?
I would say it's probably on the lower end because I think people get kind of frustrated quickly. so I know I do, and that's another thing that I wanted to kind of mention is that I've been doing this a long time. I have a lot of colleagues that I work with, and if something gets brought forth to me, I have resources that I can turn to find answers quickly. So I'm the front face of who's supporting you, but again, you're getting a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes that is beneficial to you because I know how to quickly find answers if I may not right at the front have the exact fit answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so
same thing for me in the marketing world. It's like if I don't have experience with a certain channel, I have a pool of people that I can
exactly
reach out to and say, hey, do you have experience with this channel? What's been your success? And would this client be a good fit for that channel? Okay, great. Do you want to take it over, or do you have if they have a quick solution, if this is what you need, then I can do it on my own. But it's really easy. And to have that experience combined with a network that you can really reach out to.
Yep, exactly. I know I definitely bring that to the table. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Any parting shots before we end it here?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered a lot of ground, and I appreciate your time on this and going through this process. It's been good. I really strive to provide the best service possible. Like I can't stress that enough. That quality of service is like such a high ranking for me when I come to, and again, I've named before, just treating everybody with respect and, not speaking over people and listening to what the customer is bringing is a huge important piece. And then not only that, but I have a wealth of knowledge that I've, an experience that I've gained over the years. I've been doing this a long time. Like I said, I started doing independent consulting in 2013. I started working for Apple in 2007. And then even before that, I was in the Windows PC realm for many years. So I have a lot of experience and time under my belt that I can bring forth to benefit my clients.
That's awesome. Well, it's been incredibly informative for me. I obviously don't do IT, so I have a Mac, but I also have a Windows computer tower, that I've built, and my wife, and one that's built for me. So, going across both platforms, I definitely see the big differences. And
Yeah.
the easiest part about Mac that a lot of people, I think, jump onto is that it has a lot more built-in security
Yeah, it does.
ready to
It
go
does. Yeah.
versus Windows.
Yeah.
Probably have a lot more freedom with Windows to explore different ways to solve things and use things and different ways to implement stuff.
Yeah.
But those limitations come with this kind of freedom of security with
Yeah.
Apple.
Yeah.
And a lot of people mistaken that for being impervious.
Yeah.
And that's not.
Yeah,
That's not
it's
the case.
it's not. You definitely need some assistance along the way. One, you brought that up, just kind of to speak to that really quickly, is that there's some statistics out there. I can't quote them exactly, but in essence, that for every, let's say, 100 PC workstations, you need, I'm not sure how many PC techs to support. Well, that value is far lower for, you can have more Apple workstations implemented, and you don't need as much support staff to keep them on, running properly. So you may find that an Apple computer is more expensive out the gate, and they are, but they're going to run longer, and the cost of supporting them is going to be a lot cheaper because of what I just named. It's just maybe we'll do another video again. I can bring forth some of those statistics. It's really fascinating, actually. But they are long, from the whole life cycle of owning one, they are cheaper to have.
Look at that. Look at that. It may look more expensive for Apple.
Yeah.
It's going to save you some money.
Yep.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much, John. It's been a pleasure. If you guys have any questions, anyone listening, reach out, whether it's through a comment, through a Facebook page, reach out with your questions. We're happy to help. We want to make sure that we get you the best answer possible. Yeah. And, through that, hopefully you'll see that this is the good solution for you, and it's going to be affordable. Just reach out to John and see what exactly it is you need.
Yeah. I'd be happy to speak with you. So,
all right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Jesse. All right. Bye, everyone.